Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
On this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, Chris is back.
And we give you ASMR.
Intro music.
My country. Feels no good to be dead. Hunting is a complicated profession.
I'm disappointed that neither of you got down and boogied.
I was doing a little boogieing. I had a boogie in my nose, if that counts.
It doesn't.
Oh, gross.
Decidedly does not.
That's disgusting. How could you say that?
Bro, this is a family show. Let's try and keep it clean. Let's keep the blue.
That's why we have Chris here.
Yeah, like look at that squeaky clean guy right there.
Squeaky clean Chris.
Like if you were to think...
Surf's up, dude. That's what it says behind him.
Does it say that? Does it really?
Surfers Crossing. My father-in-law got that.
Okay, but it doesn't say surf's up, dude. That would be pretty on the nose.
That would be awesome.
No, not yet.
Do you have any signs in your house that do say surf's up, dude?
Almost guaranteed.
I'm going to buy you one if not.
Almost
anyway,
guaranteed.
How we doing, Robert and Chris?
Robert is fine.
Bob.
It's time. Yeah,
Robbie
where did that come from?
Robbie Ralapi.
Robbie Ralapi.
Robbie
well,
Ralapi.
Nicholas.
And Chrissy Malippi. That doesn't work as well.
Doesn't work
Robbie
as well.
Ralapi works though.
I just be reeled. Nicholas did not.
Oh, are we late?
It's time to be real.
I'm gonna reel. I'm gonna be real. Chris is not on the Be Real train.
Chris is not on the Be Real train.
I be fake.
You that's okay. Sometimes we all need to be fake. So anyway, we are here for another round of the thing.
Yes,
the thing that we did last
thing.
time, which is to say we've got Chris back, and he's got some questions.
He's
right?
got more questions.
We went through the prequel series, right?
We did.
Last sesh with Chris's burning questions, and we told him that for some of those burning questions, he should probably seek, medical advice because if you have burning question that persists for more than 8 hours, you should consult a physician.
For all the people out there in YouTube world, if you
look at that
want
guy.
to follow me on Pokemon Go, because Chris and Nick were talking about
What's funny though is I don't think it's that simple because I think you
have to know the number, trainer codes and all that stuff. Well, hit me up on somewhere, find it.
Yeah, I mean
you can do it.
You can do it. You got to check us out on our Facebook group before it gets shut down, of course.
Yes. Yes. Can we talk about that? That should be Star Wars news.
Yeah. So we by the way, you can check us out on all of the social medias.
Yes.
We've been neglecting our social medias recently.
Yeah, we haven't been talking about.
But I
Plugs.
What? Yeah, we haven't been plugging.
We haven't been plugging.
Chris, can you plug our social medias for us, please?
Plug our
social
social
you got to
medias.
check everybody out on all the social medias.
There you go. Good.
Nailed it. Thanks, buddy.
Figure it out. Go back.
We're
Listen to some earlier episodes. You know where they are.
You literally, you just type in Bantha Milk Podcast, and it's really hard not to find us.
Yeah. So we're on Insta. We're on Facebook. We're on X. And although we never use it,
we are on TikTok, and now Rob has discovered the world of TikTok, and he's been creating some TikToks. In fact, that's partly why I was dancing, because you created a nice little dance intro one, but I thought you would clip together several of our dances.
Well, I did at that point in time, and then I haven't added any more to it since then. But
there's been.
And then I also YouTube and YouTube Shorts have been very popular for us. So for the 4-question page or version of the podcast, the one that I excluded Nick from.
Yeah. There's certain places they don't let me in.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's in the back room of Bantha Milk trailer.
That's right. If you can believe it, there's a place in Bantha Milk headquarters I'm not even allowed. It's behind this door.
It's behind
right
that door there. Yes, but back there we do the 4-question show around the Dejeric table, and I've been posting those on YouTube Shorts. And they've been hitting pretty well. So it's interesting there. So there we go.
And we've been threatened to get shut down, our group on Facebook.
By 2 different guests. First, guest 5594.
I don't know. 5594 is a pretty official number.
But see, here's what they do. They CYA. Important notification, your Facebook page will be permanently deleted due to a post that infringes our trademark rights. We have made this decision after careful consideration.
At least they considered it carefully.
They did consider it carefully. And in compliance with our intellectual property protection policies.
Ooh, that's very alliterative.
It's very alliterative. Yeah, this is so AI written. If you believe this is a misunderstanding, please submit a complaint requesting the restoration of this page before it is removed from Facebook.
Please include your social security number, your PIN
Requisite
number.
for review. Here's the case. Case 847-16710.helpdesk-information.com. Hey,
You're
seems
just so much more official than the ones I get on my pages.
yeah, this is very. And
Well, that's because we're pretty legit.
They
Yeah.
even cover themselves even better. We understand that this may impact your current business objectives. If we do not receive a complaint from you, this will be our final decision. Thank you.
Oh boy.
This is a message from a temporary support agent with support ID 738-44890. Please visit the link above and follow the instructions. So they even cover their butt by telling you why it's coming from this fake account, guest5594, because it's a temporary agent with support ID.
Oh, they're temporary because people got to hire out.
They're hiring
No one has
out.
their own.
Yes.
Like everyone hires out through temp agencies.
And it's
anymore,
at no reply Facebook .meta platforms, Inc. Attention community support.
Those all sound so official.
1 Facebook Way, Matino Park, California 94025.
1 Facebook way.
1 Facebook Way.
1313 Cemetery Drive.
1313 Mockingbird Drive.
Lane. That's
Yeah,
right.
Mockingbird
no,
Lane.
it's 1 Cemetery Drive, right? That's the Munsters.
Well, 1313
that's
Mockingbird is the Munsters.
The Adams Family. That's
Adams Family.
1
Munsters,
Cemetery,
yeah.
right? Anyway,
Yeah,
so
we got that email.
Check us out on Sacred Jedi Text before we get shut down for good,
Yes.
because we're rebels and they're coming after us.
They're coming after us.
Yeah, and you know what? They're
From
coming
all
after
of our posts that we do that.
They're coming after us because I'm in the way between them and you.
That's right.
So they're coming after us instead of coming after you. So write your senators and tweet your Congress peoples that we got to keep Bantha Milk Podcast
Got to
on
keep
Facebook.
us on the air before Facebook shuts us down.
So Rob's got some Bantha Milk over there.
I do, and while I'm popping this open, let's plug all the rest of our
We've
Ears
got
Up
we got the
friends.
Ears Up. They've got the Z in their name. Remember that Z. It's important because if you go Ears Up with an S, you might get some weird fetish site.
You
I don't
do.
know,
So
but,
you have to go to Ears,
Ears with a Z up.
or as Asher calls it, butts down.
Butts down,
Yeah.
Ears Up.
Ears Up, butts down.
I mean,
Ears
Heads Up, 7 Up.
The best show on Ears Up Network, Ears Up in Depth.
No, that's this one.
Oh, I mean us over here at Bantha Milk. And then the Supreme Resort guys.
Delicious with sour cream, as
And
always.
the, what's the other one?
Puny Pod. We
Well,
got the
Puny Pod,
Puny
yes,
Pods.
that's the other good one. And then the one
The
where
other good one.
where they where they watch all the
What are some of
Ready
the
for
not
TV.
good ones, Rob?
The not good ones, that would be Ears Up in Depth.
Oh, yeah.
And what's the other? The Supreme Resort
Zamboni's
and-
Unlimited, right?
Zamboni's Unlimited.
It's,
yes.
it's all about the history of
the
Zambonis.
history. It's a 21-part episode on the history of Zambonis.
Yeah, did you know that Zamboni actually originated in 1922
Did not
in Norway?
in Norway. Is
It's
that
not-
why it's got a weird name?
No.
Oh.
I don't know, man. I lost the juice in the middle of that particular improv.
Wouldn't be
Anyway,
weird if you were living in Norway in 1922. You wouldn't think that was a weird name.
No, not at all.
you're probably right. You're probably like, oh, this is
Especially-
my buddy Zamboni.
Arthur Zamboni, the
Artie-
guy who created it.
Artie Zamboni.
Artie Zamboni.
Classic Artie.
That Artie. He liked ice skating, but he hated rough surfaces.
Who doesn't?
So he said, "Let me fix that."
Be the change you want to see in the world. Oh, we
Good old
banter.
Artie.
Oh, we banter. Anyway.
Anyway.
So check out the Ears Up folk.
Mm-hmm.
Chris surfs, so go to the ocean and watch Chris surf
Yes.
and support him in what he does.
It's not as much fun this time of year to watch.
I
You could
bet.
surf in the snow, Chris.
Surfing in the snow is a really fun experience
Yeah.
because the snow, when it hits the water surface, it makes like this nice little sizzle.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
pretty
cool.
cool. I bet that sounds
Yeah.
delightful.
It's calming,
Yeah.
and then you remember that you can't feel anything.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
that's
everything
where,
is
like,
numb.
That's the hypothermia kick again.
Yeah,
I can't feel my feet.
I can't really think calm when I think 40-degree temperature water or lower, and whatever wetsuit you're giving me. If that wetsuit doesn't have a furnace inside of it, I don't think it's going to work as well.
They
as,
make those though.
Do they
actually
really?
do have wetsuits that have a little heater in them.
And have you used one?
It's called pee.
I have not.
It's
no,
called-
well, I mean that's what everybody uses.
That's
But there is
nature's-
one that has like a
that's
little
furnace.
battery pack, and it actually has little coils that go across like your chest, and really it's like down in your like abdomen. That's where you lose the most heat
Interesting.
theoretically.
I thought it'd be
So you
your
want to
feet.
heat your organs in there. Yeah, they have those.
Wow.
Very
All right.
cool.
Well, we know what Chris wants for what? Arbor Day. I guess Arbor Day is the next one coming up.
Arbor Day. I want you to know
Valentine's Day, because I know your wife, and don't miss that one.
I won't.
miss.
Oh, I won't.
Yes. I just want you to know that they're listening. The Facebook is listening.
Why are they listening? What do they?
Because
what do?
after we talked to Chris last week about surfing, every video in my feed started showing up of people surfing, and with that mouth camera thing that you showed us,
Wow.
I was like,
Yep.
"This is." I
You know
never
who it
saw
is? It's
video.
Agent 5431 or whatever it is.
Yes, he's watching us.
It's like that's
So-
you used one of my surfing content.
Lingo.
Yeah, that's
Lingo,
right. And that
yeah.
I have that trademarked. It is against our intellectual property
That's
laws.
what it was. That's where you broke us. That's what happened.
Way to
there.
go, Chris.
My
Chris.
fault.
Good
Most
job.
things are. So anyway, there is a bit of news, right? There is a bit. So let's press the button
So, yes.
and talk the news. Oh wait, he's got to get
You have
the
the
iPad.
banter for a couple more seconds.
So-
We're really hard at that.
Busting those, who
Back
shot
in
first?
my day. Speaking of who shot
I
first,
know, I feel bad feeling about. Anyway,
Johnny Jalopy sent me a
Jalopy
picture
Jalopy.
of Arnold Schwarzenegger wearing a shirt that said "Han, I shot first" with a gun next to it, as he's walking down some runway with Han Solo himself was next to him.
that's amazing.
And he sent me a thing. He said, "Now this is a shirt I have to get." And I said, "I want the shirt of that picture."
Yes,
That would be even funnier. Is if it was
just pictures of the shirt all the way down.
yeah, it would be really funny. So
Like a Russian nesting.
so that
doll.
was that. Johnny sent that to me today.
You nailed the job. There's going to be a Star Wars movie.
There's going to be 2 Star Wars movies, and now
Yeah,
the new
sometime
one.
in the 1970s.
There's breaking news. We've heard that there's going to be a new movie, a Star War. Anyway, that's my greatest
Wars.
1960s radio impersonator impression. I was just on that.
This
That was
just
what were
in.
happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, there has been confirmation after, I guess, last week we talked about Dave Filoni in his new role as the creative chief creative officer. That's
Chief
right.
Creative Officer.
CCO of Lucasfilm, and now we have official word that they are moving ahead, and that like essentially all of this Phase 1, Iron Man, Hulk stuff has been leading up to the Avengers, which is to say, the Grogu Mandalorian movie. So that's happening.
So
Do you
on
think
that,
they're gonna do the scene where they all show up in the middle of an intersection in New York City, and
I hope so.
Grogu's there and Ahsoka's there, and
Yeah, and it's just
Ezra's
like
there,
they're
and
doing
it's just
their round
rotating
shot,
around
yeah.
them.
I think they'd be doing themselves a disservice.
and their
if
cape
not.
is floating, moving around, even
yeah.
though there's no wind.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And then Thor is there for some reason.
Thor just bounces in. Yes.
Why not?
And Indiana Jones is just walking in the background.
Which would be really weird considering.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So while we talk about that, of course, one of the news is one of these wonderful web pages. So I want to point out all of their important facts here. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Check out key details about the upcoming Star Wars film.
All right, these are going to be key.
Key details
for it.
already. They haven't started writing anything yet, but this website knows all the key details.
Is it
Did-
set in this galaxy?
I think
That's the first detail.
I think the first detail I heard. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it might be a galaxy that's either nearby or at least far away from here, and it may or may
Present day?
not be in present. I don't don't quote me on this because things like a lot can change between here and now. But I'm pretty certain, compared to where we are in time presently, it will be in the past.
Yes, and maybe far, far away. But not
That's
sure.
just my guess.
That's your guess. All right, so release predictions. When to expect the Mandalorian Grogu. The release date remains uncertain. What?
Key detail right
Key
there.
details. But it's confirmed to commence production in 2024. Fans may need to wait until 2026. Star Wars timeline. The narrative unfolds during the New Republic, approximately 10 to 11 ABY. So, key detail. We don't know when it's coming out.
Yeah.
Cast and crew for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Pedro Pascal's return to the Mando is uncertain.
All right.
But
well,
Jon
I mean,
Favreau, the director of Iron Man, will helm the movie. Despite mixed opinions on Mando and Grogu film, Favreau expressed excitement, emphasizing the appeal of bringing these characters to the big screen. So they don't know anything about that either. It's strange that nobody
So-
knows.
Was this written by guest 3037?
It was.
Yeah, we were actually just reading his whole conversation history right
Yep.
now. Listen, we're between content. We got to find it somewhere. You know,
These are so bad. Quotes from Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy. Jon Favreau, expressing enthusiasm, states, "The prospect of bringing the Mandalorian and his apprentice Grogu to the big screen is extremely exciting." Kathleen Kennedy, the death of...
I like turtles.
I like turtles. The death of Star Wars said, "This new story is a perfect fit for the big screen."
so here's my deal. Here are my thoughts. I'm putting my thoughts out there, right? The last season of Mandalorian ended with such a neat little bow of let's go off and have our fun little crazy adventures in the universe.
Yes.
And now they decide, well, let's have a movie.
Right.
So, like, I just don't, like, number one, what is the draw? Like, we're already seeing these exact characters at home on our couch. Why are we going to, like, what are you going to do to make us want to go see them in a movie? Because, like, it has to be, like, if it's going to be a movie, it has to be big, right? It can't just be, like, what they're doing now, but 2 hours long.
Right. And that's the other thing. My other problem is, even though the seasons were 10 episodes.
At longest.
Yeah. So, and 30 to 40 minutes an episode. So you're talking 5 to 6 hours of content total. Now they took that and now they're going to condense it down to 2 hours.
Right.
So now everything has to be faster, just more to the point and less story building than what we had in the past couple of episodes, even with Ahsoka, even with the book of Dad Boba Fett. It was so... I don't know, like, I was hoping for the next season to be very similar to season 1, where it was a bunch of them going off and doing this mission, doing that mission, doing whatever. Now it's going to probably be just one big mission. They're going to run into trouble along the way. They're going to have some major conflict during this one big mission. We're going to have a new bad guy. Are they going to bring back Moff Gideon?
And that's like the big crux of it now is, you know, what is it going to be, right? We see the trajectory of like the extended universe that's happening, right? So my guess is Thrawn is going to play into it somehow, but who knows? Because Ahsoka season 2 is going to come before the next movie.
Hopefully.
Probably. Who knows? But it seems like right now, I mean, they can't do much in this era. That's crazy because we know what happens at the end of it, you know? So, like, they have to essentially set up a baddie that is either going to fail eventually, and we know it, or else something happens to that is weird. Otherwise, it's going to seem pretty predictable. Like, so, like, this era's threat is the Imperial Remnant, right? That's like, that's what we're getting, like, they're showing us is like Thrawn and then Gideon and like that council of douches.
Yeah, that's the exact title, by the way.
Yeah, COD, Council of Douches. And so like I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know how they make this. You know, movies are supposed to be a big deal, right? A blockbuster sort of like. So what do you do to the stakes here to make it
blockbuster? Yeah,
to make it that level.
It'll be fun seeing them up on the big screen, of course. And the graphics and the CGI in this series were not bad at all.
No, they weren't.
They had a very big budget for television. So they were able to pull off a lot of very good graphics and explosions and ship fights and all that stuff on a TV budget because their TV budget was very, very vast.
Right.
And the tech keeps getting better and better.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
You know, and after going back and rewatching everything, it's amazing how good everything looks in the TV series compared to, like, I mean, it blows the prequels out of the water, but even the sequels, you know, like it holds up right in with them, no problem.
And that's kind of like Lucasfilm's thing, right? Is that they're always kind of on the cutting edge of technology and advancing the audiovisual side of things anyway. So,
Right.
I mean, the volume, I think, was a huge thing to, like, add to their repertoire. And, like, I'm hoping that, like, they will use, I know they're going to use the volume, but I'm hoping they also use, like, more on-location things.
Yeah, and I would think that would have to be for movie sets a lot more on, because I forget who, somebody pointed it out that you can always tell when the fights are taking place
Right.
in the volume because everybody's within 8 feet of each other.
Right. And
You know?
the like props for like geography in the foreground, like, is set up a specific way.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of ways this can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it makes me worried that, like, they're not listening and learning from their past mistakes.
Yeah, almost like they feel they need to have movies because Star Wars was started on movies, so we need to go back to movies. But I think this would have done better on TV than it would on movies.
Right.
So, we're getting calls. We must have a delay.
Oh, yeah. I just got a text about, please check your email for an important thing.
This just in.
It's snowing.
This is guest 3037.
That's
We
right.
have a delayed opening
We have
tomorrow.
a 2-hour
Telling you that
delay
it's
right now.
snowing in
Immediately.
school. Yeah.
2 hour. That's not bad. Which means we should probably continue to Chris's question so I can get home and not
So you
die.
you're right, exactly.
Because I got here and Rob was like, "You didn't get my text, huh?" Yeah, check it. And he's like, "Hey, with this snow, if you want to wait till Wednesday, we can do that." And I look at him and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, we might as well do it." I'm here.
He's like, I'm here now. So
Yep.
I was like, okay, why not?
So-
All right. So that's a big news coming down is that there will be a Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which, whatever. Like, I'm excited. I'm going to go see it, of course.
Yeah.
I hope it's good, and I hope, now we're waiting 2 years for season 3 of The Mandalorian because now season 3 of The Mandalorian is going to be a 2-hour movie.
Yeah. Essentially.
And we're waiting at least 2 years for this. So
They could have followed the punchline joke in Community, which Nick has not seen. Rob, have you seen
I
Community?
love Communities. Yep, 7 seasons, 6 seasons,
Six seasons in a movie?
6 seasons
If
in a
they
movie.
came out with the movie right now,
Right.
you would have had the 1 season of Andor, 1 of Boba Fett,
3 of
Ahsoka.
Mando.
and
Ahsoka.
then 3 of Mando. So
Yeah.
we got 6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah, so we have that.
There you go.
Maybe they have Troy and Abed in the morning. Maybe they're running the
And
show.
isn't Childish Gambino in that?
Yes.
So maybe he could do like a Lando Calrissian
Yeah.
crossover.
Troy, yeah,
There you go.
Troy and
There you
Lando.
go.
Although he left the show, so I don't think he's going to be back for the movie. And there was
I
talks
heard
of the.
he is.
You heard he is? That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
I
hope
heard
so.
he is. Yeah.
I hope so.
they're-
It's not so much.
They're doing a Community
Finally
movie, like it hasn't
Finally,
come
yeah.
out yet.
It hasn't come out yet.
Interesting.
But you have to. I love Community. Oh my god.
I mean,
Nick
every
has not seen it.
yeah, people like Chris often tell me I need to get on it, and I agree. I just haven't.
I
have
put
no
it on when
excuse.
I'm going to sleep. I've watched 3-4 times through.
See, and that's the problem is that, like, I'm at the point in my life where the only time I have to, like, imbibe some sort of television is the sort of stuff that I like is just being consumed in the background.
Yeah.
So, like, it's Seinfeld, The Office, of like, if it's the Community, if it's new, I want to watch it.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm never sitting down at the TV like watching it.
It's so
anymore,
good,
you know.
though.
But it's like short episodes too.
Yeah.
Like, it's like old TV when there was commercials and stuff.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
like,
so
can
if
get
you
through
watch it-
episodes
what's-
quickly in 20 minutes.
I think it's on Hulu now.
I have that one.
Yeah. So like 22 minutes if you have Hulu without commercials.
I'll have to get on it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
I'll make it a priority.
There was one scene. It was so funny, Chris. You'll appreciate this. Nick, talk amongst yourself over there. But they were doing. Troy and Abed were in the corner. Something was going on. There was some like skit show, whatever, and they were in the corner doing their own Troy and Abed in the morning broadcast. And they click over and they look over at them, and there's a whole big setup behind them, and they had the lower thirds going and all that stuff.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh wow, they're doing it for real. And then they go back over, and it's just the two of them sitting there like talking to their pencils. And I was just like, oh my god, because it was like their imagination. They're so like imaginative. Oh my god, it made me laugh so much. I was like,
I
yes.
still use I use the line, "This is the worst timeline," all the time. All the time.
All the time. Oh, it's so funny. It's so good. One of my assistant coaches always like, what does Abed say? He says 2 times, like, yeah. What is it? Not yeah.
Sure.
Sure, not sure either. Cool. That's what it was. He's always like, cool. And I'm like,
I think Bill does that a lot.
He's like, yeah. Well, there you go. Now you know
Hey,
why.
Cinnamonson's calling me.
Again, they're saying we didn't get through to you the first time.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Star Wars because Chris has questions.
Chris's questions coming at you continually, counting down the queries. Sorry, I was just on a roll.
Yeah, you are on a roll.
Last
Nick
one doesn't
knows.
count. It's a cue.
Hey, alliteration doesn't care about the letter; it cares about the sound. Phonics, bi. Okay. Anyway, so Chris, I startled Chris a little with the invite to the show because we had him on last time. He had sent me these questions, a list of questions as he was watching, and then he said, "Oh, I got to watch," and I'm like, "Oh, but we only got through the prequels," and he was like, "No, I didn't send you that many after that," and so I got a couple more questions from Chris today. So I assume he was Star
Doing
Wars
research.
I was finishing the sequels, but like one of the things I want to point out is that I was watching the original, so 4, 5, and 6, and there's not that many questions there because
you
overall,
started in Return of the Jedi.
Well, yeah, I started asking questions in Return of the Jedi because like I feel like the storyline is so much better laid out.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
maybe it's just that my heart's okay with certain things.
Or you've
because
also seen it so many times that you know the answers. Maybe I don't know.
maybe.
But it also wasn't like in 1, 2, and 3 with all the political debate and everything like that. Like, who are we talking about?
Yeah.
There wasn't any of that in 4, 5, and 6 as much.
Yeah.
And there was zero expectation on 4, 5, and 6, so like they were able to be more creative and make bolder decisions, and people weren't, so like, I get what you were saying, but yeah, I mean, even because the big thing for me with 7, 8, and 9 is the lack of continuity and the lack of grander vision, but 1 or 4, 5, and 6, they didn't have that same strand. They didn't have one person who wrote the whole, like it evolved as it went. Yeah, George's kind of grand vision was always the centerpiece, which was good that there was a center creative vision. But I think each movie was directed by 3 different people, correct?
They were directed by different people, yes, but I'm pretty sure George was the writer for all 3. And he also had Marcia, Lucas's wife, was overseeing everything, which is why there was so much better continuity because she was like, look, this needs to go here and that needs to go there.
You know what they say? Behind every billionaire director is his wife.
George Lucas's wife.
George Lucas's
wife.
That's exactly it. So anyway, we'll start with Return of the Jedi. Chris's first question comes at us about Luke and his new beautiful green lightsaber. And where does Luke's new lightsaber come from in Return of the Jedi? Is there a story out there of how he came to be able to find a kyber crystal and know how to build one? So a couple things. First of all, his new lightsaber came from plot and production. As is oftentimes, because the blue lightsaber color did not show well on the sands of Tatooine and the Dune Sea, and so they decided, let's make it green to make it easier to be seen. But yes, there's actually a deleted scene in the movie that you can still see on YouTube of Luke completing his lightsaber and building it. So
this is great. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I actually hadn't found it until maybe the last year or two. And it's not long. It's just a little thing, he's got a space screwdriver and he's screwing something in, and he turns it on. He's like, oh, it's green. But the whole story with that, I don't know necessarily. I think I could be wrong. I know for a fact that he got the information on.
Hold on, I was trying to find that scene that you were talking about. Go ahead. Continue.
I know he got the information on how to build one from Kenobi's house. Like he went to Kenobi's house in the Dune Sea, and there were holocrons there and stuff that he learned from, and that's part of what it was like how to build your own lightsaber. And I'm almost positive that these were spare. There were spare kyber crystal in there, or else he repurposed one from his. But again, that part I'm not positive on. But yeah. So and after Luke got his hand chopped off, the green lightsaber was not the next lightsaber he used. Like in the comics, between this one and the green one, he actually wielded a yellow one, which was one that he had found, I believe, before he constructed his own green one.
All right. Well, hold that thought. I'm
holding it.
Can you guys see this?
I can see it.
You can see it also. I'm going to unmute. Here we go.
Can you put it full screen?
There's a screwdriver.
Space screwdriver, yep. And then he goes, ooh, it's green.
What a forsaken place this is. Why couldn't that bounty hunter have taken Captain Solo to a more pleasant environment?
And there we have it.
And there we have it.
And there's the Millennium Falcon. And there's Ben Kenobi's house.
I thought he was going to rescue Captain Solo. You mean we're going to that horrible fortress alone?
And this,
there we go.
This leads you right into the scene where they're walking up
That's
into
them now walking.
Jabba's
Yeah.
palace.
There we go.
So there we have it.
So
and, go ahead.
Like first reaction to that, like when it first started, it totally looked like Luke was just like following along on a YouTube video.
He's like pausing it. He's like, hey,
Yeah. Wait, I
was
almost
like,
have it. Let me see. Hold on.
Got it.
Oh, to the right. Okay, yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Leia said I'd never be able to figure that out on my own.
Stupid
So
sister.
like I could like that kind of was good call not leaving that in, but the back and forth between C-3PO and R2.
Yeah, that was fun also.
It's kind of fun. I like that.
Yep.
It's a shame that the acting is so bad.
Yeah, you know.
Constructing the lightsaber and
Yeah.
He just had to take the space screwdriver and just jimmy it a little bit. He was just like, neat. Oh, it's done.
Okay.
I do just want to make sure we're paying attention to our chat here. Now, Lincoln Loud in our chat says, imagine if that Chris guy got a taper fade. Think it would look good. So these are the hard-hitting questions and responses we're getting. I think I think it's actually a type of beverage that's made with milk and coconut oil. So we'll get you a taper fade next time.
Well, there you go.
So that's our lightsaber question answered. Moving on, where do the non-clone stormtroopers and officers receive their training? Is there a training planet somewhere? So that's another one that there's like a whole bunch of different kind of things that go in it. There's loads of like,
and even in Rebels, they discuss this somewhat.
yeah, and in the Thrawn novels, because in the first new canon Thrawn novel, we essentially see Thrawn come up through the ranks.
Yeah.
In the military, and so like stormtroopers, like there's the Imperial academies all over the galaxy, and like there's the big one, the Imperial, like the Royal Imperial Academy on Coruscant. And that's like the hoity-toity one that mostly officers and stuff go through.
And it was like you had to be invited to go to that one,
Right.
so you had to show how
it's essentially
good you
West
were.
Point,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
And so that's where Thrawn and Eli Vanto wind up coming up through. But there's a bunch of them all around the galaxy, and they're all for like some of them are specific for different purposes. Like there's one that's like a TIE training specific one. So there are, like, first of all,
Even when we go back to Solo, in the beginning of Solo, when he's like he's running from the bad guys or whatever,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, you want to join?" He's like, "Can I fly ships?" They're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, sign me up."
But in that, what I like about what they did in Solo specifically is that they kind of showed the structure of like, not everyone in the military is a stormtrooper. Like he wanted to be a stormtrooper, but like he wound up being like a grunt on the front line in the movie. Like it kind of delineated that stormtroopers are like the elite, even though there's that
Which
running
is
joke
funny because
that they suck.
can't shoot and they die right away.
yeah.
Yeah, their armor's completely useless.
But we also see in like the sequels that fit like the non-clone troopers are usually like taken as children and like essentially brought up and grown and reprogrammed and deprogrammed into this life, and Finn kind of started rebelling against that. We also know that Lando had a daughter who was taken into the Stormtrooper thing, the Stormtrooper Training Academy, and it's heavily implied in the last Star Wars movie that the girl who they meet is his daughter.
It's his daughter, yeah.
So I don't know what the process might be for, like, you know, just a dude off the streets saying, I'm going to be a Stormtrooper. And I'm not sure if it was that clear cut, because there's definitely like a sort of reprogramming that they go through.
Yeah. I think some of it was kind of like drafting, like they were drafted like the way we had the draft on Vietnam. And they were forced into it, but then I think there was also like voluntary,
like anything. There's
yeah.
Like people who are drafted in, and there's the people who enlist. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there we go.
And then because there was also wasn't Ezra at the Stormtrooper training facility?
For the kids.
With the kid, him and he was like the other kids so I guess there's lots of
different ways.
Yeah, but it looks like that's like the more specialized training for the young kids that might have been brought in. I don't know. So
So there you go. Multiple different ways to become a Stormtrooper.
Yeah. How far is Jabba's palace from the nearest settlement? Is his sail barge his form of transport, or is it a party pleasure cruiser? Party pleasure cruiser.
I would
is
go
nice
with
to
party
say.
pleasure cruiser.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like his hedonistic travel boat. His like let's go out and like get wasted and feed some people to the beasts and have a good time. So like, I mean, you know, I bet we could find like a literal figure on how far away Jabba's palace is.
Google says approximately 80 kilometers north of Anchorhead,
which is like, you know, if we're walking, pretty damn far. But like in a long time ago in a galaxy far away, when you have like a speeder bike, probably not that much.
Yeah.
You know.
If you played Star Wars Galaxies, it was a long
walk.
A long walk. Yes.
Yeah.
It was out there.
But yeah, like the sail barge is fairly like, and even if you like kind of think about like the amenities on it and like what they like, it's pretty clear. It's like where the big slug goes to get his jollies, you know, it's just drinks and dancers and like planks for walking and silliness. So
yeah, when he was bored of dropping people into the Rancor pit and wanted to have more fun, he would set up his party ship and then drop people into the pit of Kankareen. Is that Carcoon? Yeah. And then he got more fun watching that, because knowing that they would, was it 10,000 years it took them to?
I don't know. Boba got out of there in like, I don't know, 6 days.
Yeah, Boba was
if
fine.
That.
It was good.
Just all you need is a rocket launcher on your back and
some Beskar around
and some Beskar around all your important parts. Yeah, you're okay.
All the important parts.
All the important
parts. Everyone. We actually, when Rob and I were playing a lot of Minecraft, I imported a what do they call them? Blueprint, I guess, or whatever, for the sail barge, and plopped it in our world.
Oh, nice.
So I'm sure Bill still has the server like shut off somewhere. We could pop in and like you can even go down and like there are like cages and stuff that like
underground, or
in the lower levels.
Ship. Yeah, in the lower levels of the ship. That's fun.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that specific sail barge in Minecraft is lore accurate, but
it's lore enough. That's good enough for us.
So I hope that answers that question, Chris.
Yeah, I think so. Like it's just typically when you're talking about some sort of palace, you're either talking about, being surrounded by settlements around it.
Sure.
It's like the centerpiece of the civilization, or you're trying to be so far away from people that nobody can reach you.
Yeah, I mean, if we're thinking about like Book of Boba Fett, though, it didn't seem like it was that far away from settlements, right? Because he ruled from Jabba's palace, Boba.
Yeah.
Right, and it never seemed like it was like a big journey into town or anything, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably a half-hour ride from wherever,
which ain't bad,
Which ain't bad, no. But it was also
depending on traffic.
Sure.
Yeah, in the desert.
I like to. In my mind, I lived in Illinois, so I like to think of it like Illinois, where you have the town, and then nothing. Like everything you need has to be right here, because as soon as you leave, it's corn, and that's it. So Tatooine is Illinois confirmed.
There you go. I agree.
There we go. We're just knocking him out here. So how did Vader first come into contact with all the bounty hunters he meets with the Empire?
That is a great question.
So there's an app called Bounty Hunter. It's HUNTR. It's like Grindr, but
I was
Hunter.
following you for a minute. I'm like, okay, so this app has this information on how everybody's
He was like, "Oh,
interconnected.
cool." On the data
I'm gonna
pad.
go look it up. Like,
Oh, that's really cool.
It's like Craigslist, but it's like I need to find and freeze a man to trap my son. And they're like, oh, I got that.
It's not like
they swipe right on it.
It's not like the Empire sitting there and they've got their list of guys that they go to because
I think they do.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that's what they do.
Because even if we think about like how they kind of expanded on the bounty hunter's role with the Mandalorian, clearly there's a bounty hunters guild.
Yeah.
There's a process by which bounties are given out. There's a fee associated. You have to go and collect through the guild. So like I guess it's possible that Vader put out like a thing to the guild saying, "Hey, I need your badass, your top guys for a little project of mine. Meet me on my my Star Destroyer and no disintegrations."
Or else I will turn off your page in approximately 5 business days.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes,
man.
3574.
It's all coming clear to me now.
It's been established on the last show that Chris doesn't read books, but there are books called the Bounty Hunters Guild.
That's right. He can't read.
And
poor Chris.
And I know none of it is canon, but they do talk about the Bounty Hunters Guild and how all the bounty hunters are a part of it, except for Boba wasn't a part of it because he was such a badass that he was too good to be in it, blah, 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 all this cool stuff. But yeah, so I think it's just like, any underworld, conglomerate can be found. You look at Deadpool, and it was the same type of concept where they were
right.
they weren't called bounty hunters, mercenaries.
Yeah.
They were all mercenaries.
Jerks.
And yeah, and you could get in touch with them if you needed something done or whatever.
And it does just seem like through the movies, through the shows, through Solo, we see a little bit with Black Sun, I think it was.
Yeah.
Like the Empire just seems to have contacts in the underworld, like in like the crime syndicates and stuff like that. They got contacts. So
so that all makes sense. I was just curious if there had been like anything during the Clone Wars where Anakin had like come in contact with like a couple of them, or after the transition to Darth Vader when he's going out and kicking butt all over the place.
If I'm being honest, I'm sure there is. Like, so I know there are stories about like Boba Fett, for example, and his dealings between the time that is not in the Clone Wars, and like the comics covers a lot of it. There's a Darth Vader specific series of comics that I haven't read, that I've only seen kind of snippets of, that goes through a lot of that stuff. So I'm sure there is some of that, like if we dig a little deeper. So that's definitely a gap.
I don't remember seeing any of the bounty hunters in the Clone Wars cartoon series, though.
Boba was
he? Okay.
I think Boba was a kid in the Clone Wars series, and like there was a whole story arc behind him, like essentially becoming like a one of the leaders, and like he was involved in a couple of different storylines.
And even if you go back further, Jenga was the body, the DNA that they used to make all the clones.
Right.
So the Empire from way back has been in touch with bounty hunters of some sort all the way through. Yep. So yeah, that's a good question. Sure. That is fun. I on with my around the Dejarik table last week, one of the questions was if you could write your own movie, what would it be about? And I said that I would love to write a movie about the bounty hunters leading up to what we meet them in Empire Strikes Back. So just them doing missions or whatever, or them being like the Deadpool type characters, which is what Boba Fett, the series, or what turned out to be the Mandalorian series, when they originally had it penciled in that they were going to do a Boba Fett movie.
Right.
It was supposed to be like the way Deadpool was, and then it evolved into the Mandalorian. But I would have loved to seen the old Boba Fett rather than Dad Bod Boba Fett.
Or even just season 2 Mandalorian Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like that Boba Fett,
yeah,
he was ridiculous. Like that got me so jazzed about Boba Fett. And they just really screwed the pooch on it.
Yeah.
All right. So, how come Obi-Wan had to train for years to learn to commune with Qui-Gon, but Luke saw Obi-Wan almost immediately? Well, the reason for that is because Obi-Wan a bitch. So my...
Like, is it a two-way street? Does, like, the Force Ghost also have to, like, know how to get in touch a little bit? Because it seemed like Qui-Gon showed up at the end of the Obi-Wan series and was just like,
I've been waiting for you. What
Yeah.
what was the long?
Yeah.
You're right. I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that, like, they may. I feel like they kind of shoehorned in the training thing to, like, make it like Qui-Gon's coming back to teach you how to be a Force ghost, and now you'll be able to as well at the end of episode 3. But I mean, I think we can always explain it with Luke is the son of the product of the Force, and therefore has the chosen one's blood in him, and therefore is more connected to the Force, and therefore things come easier to him. That being said, Obi-Wan was one of the best Jedi of all time, so you would think things would also come pretty damn easily to him.
And also, I remember you even said previous episodes on this show before about how Qui-Gon's whole niche in Jedi Council was the, like, forced ghost or whatever. Like,
well, the
living
Force.
The living Force,
like,
yeah.
Where he was kind of like not cast out, but like they looked at him as almost a heretic because he, like, had these thoughts on the Force that they disagreed with, and so that, I mean, obviously we find out at the end of the prequel series that the Jedi were too closed-minded, and that's what led to their downfall, and Qui-Gon was, like, more open thinking than this.
Yeah.
And so he was, and they make a big deal about, like, lightsaber colors with, like, when you go really into it, it's like, oh, the blue guys are really good at Force lightsaber fights, and the green guys are really good at the Force. Woo! Which, like, that's kind of like the symbolism that you get where, like, people like Yoda and Qui-Gon are more into the spiritual side and more into, like, using the Force as, like, a conduit, a spirit in the spiritual sense, whereas Obi-Wan and Anakin use it as a weapon more than anything. And so that symbolism, just by his lightsaber being green, shows that he's, like, different thinking.
Right.
But yeah, I think partially we can chalk it up to Luke being who he is, and partially we can chalk it up to plot.
Right. And also, Luke had a blue and then a green lightsaber. So
he's got best of both
worlds. He
worlds.
had best of both worlds.
That's right.
So there we go. So, yes.
So, by the way, in the Legends, that would be a Jedi Sentinel versus a Jedi Consular. Right? The Jedi Consulars were the green-wielding, Force-using, like, sages, whereas the Sentinels were the blue, lightsabery, knight-type people.
There you
what
go.
about yellow?
Yellow was...
got a yellow one in there.
No, yellow was... so there was Consular, there was Sentinel, there was... Oh, that's going to annoy the hell out of me, because there was a...
Yellow, he had to go to the bathroom real bad.
Yellow's the P color, yes.
Yep.
I'm going to look it up. You gotta... Hold on.
Every
'Cause that's gonna
canon
annoy
color.
Oh, yellow was the Jedi Sentinel. All right. Blue was the... Green was the Guardian. Yeah. Okay. So green was Guardian, yellow was Sentinel, and blue was... God, that's going to annoy me. Hold on. Anyway, talk amongst yourselves.
And then there's purple.
Purple.
Which is
Purple is Sam Jackson.
Contractual obligation.
Pretty much.
Mace Windu's purple lightsaber was a request made directly to Lucas by Samuel L. Jackson, whose favorite color is purple. As such, there's no hidden meaning to this rare lightsaber within the canon Star Wars universe. However, Star Wars legend stories link a purple lightsaber with moral ambiguity, uncertainty, and reconstruction, as purple is a combination of red and blue. The purple lightsaber represents that its users allows an affinity to both light and dark sides of the Force. Mace Windu's purple lightsaber first appeared in Star Wars Episode 2. And what does he have written on the hilt of it?
Bamf.
B8.
Yeah.
Yeah, B8.
Oh, I found it here. Okay, so Guardian... Wow, I had it all wrong. Guardian is blue. Sentinel is yellow. And green is... Oh, are you freaking kidding me?
Green
Consular,
is... Check out these
Guardian,
ads.
and that's it. I'm done looking.
Orange.
If you know Doug, I don't know if you listen to us anymore, but Doug, if you listen, check my facts. I've lost interest.
Doug, our fact checker.
He's taking a vacation.
Come
Anyway,
on, Doug.
so that's that one right there. We're gonna give you two more questions here before I decide to go home and not die on my way home. So how long do Wookiees live? Chewie is like, ageless. So I think we find out in Solo that at that point Chewie's like 140 or something like that. And then he's still alive like 60 years later, which puts him like 200, over 200 for sure.
There actually is a line in the dialogue in The Last Skywalker. What's the last movie?
Yes, when they're playing at the Dejeric table, they're playing.
Yeah, they go.
chess.
Yeah, of course you're good. Of course you're good at this game. You're like 215 years old or something like that.
And he doesn't look like he's slowing down. It's not like he's like, oh, I'm getting old. I'm too old for this. It's not like what's his name? Freaking Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon.
I would love a buddy cop like Han Solo Chewie movie, just Lethal Weapon in space. That would be my favorite.
That would be really funny.
Too bad Mel Brooks went crazy. Not Mel Brooks. I always say that. Mel Gibson.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks is like 98 years old.
I want a new Mel Brooks.
Crazy.
I want a Spaceballs 2 by Mel Brooks. Come on, Mel.
So anyway, if we're looking at like Chewie and we're using him as the standard by which aging happens, I would pit him at middle age. So let's say 500.
Well, you're very close according to Wikipedia.
Okay.
I have the answer. Over 400 standard years old.
So isn't 500 over 400
That's why I
years
said
old?
you're close, but they didn't say at 500.
You're right,
they said
you're right.
over 400. You're
All
off by 100 years.
So let's say
he does get some good cardio in, which is going to extend your life. He's always running with his Showcaster,
always
and
ducking,
doing some weight training with C-3PO on his back.
Sure, ripping arms out of sockets and stuff. Yeah. So I wonder if every Wookiee is as shredded as Chewie is.
Just yolt.
I hear Kylo Ren has a 6-pack. I hear he's shredded. So 400 years ish.
My brother sent me a clip from. Maybe I can find it. Hold on. I don't want to ruin it if I can find the clip.
You go ahead and look while I continue. So this isn't a question. Chris just thinks that there's a dreadnought shit that comes in Return of the Jedi, and then they start targeting.
The Jedi. Yeah, that's the Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. The dreadnought ship comes in, and they start targeting the base instead of the transport ship.
Dumb.
I don't. So that's the one where like he comes in and he like calls
the bombing
him.
Run. Yeah,
right.
Doing the bombing run.
The weird anti-gravity bombing thing.
The dreadnought ship comes in. And they're like, that's their base down there, and they're trying to get to that ship. Target their base before they can get to the ship. But guys, if you just shoot the ship, they can't get away.
I do feel like that's true, but I feel like at one point they do almost kill everyone because they blow up the base just as they take off.
Yes.
But you're right. If they blew up the ship, they'd be kind of SOL, wouldn't they?
Completely.
But they fell for Poe's weird little prank phone call, so I'm not going to pit them as
that was great.
I'm not going to pit them, and a lot of people hated it. I thought it was really funny and cheeky.
So
honestly.
funny, yes.
Like as far as things to hate
comedy
in the sequel series, that was not one.
That was not one of them. That was funny because it was so stupid. I think he's playing a joke on you, sir.
I mean, like, imagine if a freaking, like, cocky freaking Air Force pilot, and they all are.
Yes.
Imagine, like, one just, like, did that to, like, a military, like, what would they do? They'd do that. They'd be like, what's happening right now?
Is this thing on? I can't hear him. Is he there?
Yeah.
Hello?
I'll wait.
General Hux? What is he? What does he call him? Like kind of pasty?
Yeah.
I don't even remember, man. It's been a while since I
Oh god,
watched
it's so funny. Anyway, going back to the thing my brother sent me. It was from Peter Griffin from Family Guy. When Han Solo and Chewbacca go back to his house, and everybody at the house, they go back to Chewie's house. All of Chewie's relatives are all wearing clothes of some sort, and he goes, You've been naked this whole time.
That's a very Family Guy.
It was a very
skit.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I watched it. Perhaps my favorite Family Guy skit I've ever seen. I just saw it the other day. I don't watch Family Guy that much, but they're like in a room. The room is filling with water, and apparently they're about to drown.
Okay.
And Peter's like, "Before we die, I just need to admit one thing. I did not care for The Godfather." And then they just spend like the next minute and a half having a conversation as they're drowning about like, oh,
What do you mean you didn't care for The Godfather?
It insists upon itself, Lois. What do you mean it insists upon itself? And it's classic. Anyway, so this has been part 2 of Questions with Chris. Now, he did all this crunching for today, and we didn't even get to any of his new questions.
That's fine. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the sequels that
don't make sense. So you had plenty of questions.
I know the answer is there is no answer, and it's just bad. Like the Dreadnought question right there. Like that's just that was written really bad.
Yeah.
But there's some others, like if there's stuff that there should be a connection, or I find it interesting, I'm going to start putting those together. But for the most part, like all the why does this suck? I'm going to leave those out.
That's fair.
Yeah, because a lot of the why does it suck is based off of the fact that they had three different writers.
Based off of the fact that it sucks.
Yeah.
3 different points of view, and then everybody was trying to retcon what everybody else did. So instead of actually going with a coherent statement, they just said, no, I'm going to change what you did. No, I'm going to change what you did.
Yeah. But now that you're getting through the sequels, your next step is the standalone movies.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go to Andor. You're going to have to go to Solo. You're going to have, is that was all?
Yeah.
You get any more?
They're the 2 standalones. That's it.
I can't believe that's it.
Yeah. And they're good, too. They're both really good. Yeah.
Although a lot of people hate on Solo. It had a lot of production issues. I get it.
I didn't. I mean, for a while there, I wasn't too fond of it. I think the one line that drove me insane.
Han Solo. Yeah, that was stupid.
What's your last name? I don't have one. Okay, Solo. I'm like,
that was
really?
Silly. That was silly.
Yeah, that was kind of silly. But other than that, I liked it a lot. It was good. So I hope you like it.
But Chris, I'm sure will have some questions.
Yes.
He's got Q's. We've got A's. Sorry, did you just say you have A? Anyway,
what?
So that's from something. That's from something. I don't remember what it's from, but it's from something.
Almost definitely Family Guy.
It's got to be at some point. But thanks for joining us for another episode of Chris's Questions, Queries, Conundrums, and Qualms. I'm just going to keep...
That was well done.
I thought so too, right?
That was well done.
They rolled off. I did go into Q's there, but, beggars can't be choosers.
And then Chris and I are going to start our own podcast.
A community podcast.
Yes. Chris and Rob in the morning.
Chris and Mom. See, that I know, but that's like a TikTok thing.
Yeah,
which
that's
is a bummer.
So the kids at school, cool. Kids at school were always like saying it, and Cameron also says it all the time. And I'm like, oh my god, do you love the community? They're like, what?
Yeah,
it's from TikTok, and I'm like, no, it's from community.
Insert song before 1999 here, and they go, oh, I know this song. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's TikTok.
Oh, speaking of songs from before 1999. So Tom and I are playing a different version of Star Wars Galaxies, and in this server, they change a lot of things because they changed the timeline, so a lot of things are different. So we're trying to find a lot of the original quests, and we can't find them all. So Tom writes into the group, into the Discord, like, oh, is there a chance that we can do this quest or whatever? And the guy writes back all this stuff in Aurebesh. Aurebesh? Is that how you say it?
Sure.
He writes all this stuff back in Aurebesh. And Tom's like, really? You couldn't have written it in English? And I said, give it to me. Let me see it. So he sends me the picture. So I start translating it. It was freaking, what's that guy, the Rick Astley song?
They Rickrolled you in Aurebesh?
Yeah, they Rickrolled us in Aurebesh.
That is outstanding.
And I'm like...
I thought you were going to say, don't forget to drink
Chris, that is literally exactly what my thought went to. But that
Rickroll is better.
Yeah, that's great. And you actually had to do the work to get that.
Yeah, so I said to Tom, I go, the last 2 words are, I don't even remember what the 4 lines in the song are, but
There's no stranger to love.
Yeah, Cherry Hill now has a 2-hour delay
Hooray.
as well. All right. So I was like, he's like, we just got Rickrolled in Aurebesh. I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm like, how rude. Like, just answer the question.
I don't know, man.
Don't be a jerk.
I think that's a pretty good, it's a power move right there.
It was a power move, but whatever. So, yeah. So if you want to have a lot of, and then I was thinking, how people always get like, words written in either like
Different
Japanese
languages,
or different
yeah.
languages, and then you're always like afraid, like, did
This
the
says
person
California roll.
Yeah, did the
Right.
person like F with me who told me how to say teacher, and it's like whatever.
Right.
So I was like, why not Auerbash? Because you have all the letters there. They
Sure do.
translate to a normal English.
This says peace in Arabic.
There you go, yeah.
It actually says balls.
That's weird because there's only 5 letters there when their piece has 6, so it doesn't make any sense.
No logic, only Zool. Anyway.
All right, so that's enough of my
So
bantering.
we promised you some ASMR, so we're just gonna go ahead and on your way
and
out.
where's the pigs in a blanket, Chris? You lied
Yeah,
to us.
what happened to the piggies?
I've been eating them without you guys noticing.
That's
I've got
amazing.
You
them
have
out.
been.
I don't even know how you did that.
I'm impressed. Yeah, you're
I've been muting myself when you guys go on little like internal tangents.
Bummer.
I'm like,
and
We
then
didn't even get to hear the
chomping
mouth
away there.
sounds.
Yeah,
Nick's
man.
Bummer.
gonna go off. Let him go. And I'll
Yeah,
so,
whatever.
tell me
Little
more.
girl.
How old is Chewy? So from the hot dogs in Chris's large
Oh, man,
intestine,
so jealous.
all the way to Bantha Milk Podcast headquarters
In the trailer outside of Ears Up
in
Podcast,
snowy
New Jersey.
New
Out
Jersey,
Jersey.
we have spoken.
We've spoken.
We have spoken.